Good afternoon, folks, from New Hope, Minnesota for the Bantam B1 Bla game versus Armstrong Cooper today. This is a district game for the Storm as they resume play after the holiday break. It's been about 10 days or so since they've had a game, so looking to get back into the year with this game against Armstrong. The Storm beat this Armstrong team at Minneapolis earlier in the year. And are looking to get the sweep in the series with Armstrong Cooper. Sure. This New Hope rink that we're playing in today is a beautiful old rink with all of the wooden ceiling here, as you see. And this rink was used in, as was the Storm's home rink, used in the filming of Mighty Ducks years ago. And here we go with the drop of the puck. Colin on the faceoff comes to Armstrong Cooper. And they send it down. Here's Griffin O'Melia with it, trying to knock it out of the zone. Eventually it squirts out as Otto chases it down. Here's an outlet pass to George. George brings it across. He takes a shot, and that is on goal. Knocked down by the... Oh, it's still loose, and George knocks it in. What? The Armstrong Cooper goalie just couldn't corral it, and it was still loose, and George was right there to pick it up and stick it in the net for the first goal for the Storm here as they lead early 1-0. This Armstrong team actually does not have a goalie on their B1 squad, and so they have to borrow a goalie from other associations, and the goalie in net today is actually from Hopkins. And there's another shot right on net. That was off the post as Colin Moose threw one toward the net. Tyson throws this one down. Tyson Jung is moved back to defense today as the Storm have a couple of players out. And there's a shot and in by Will Marsh in the circle, eventually controlled by Armstrong Cooper, but comes to Griffin. Griffin sends it out, but picked up again by Armstrong. Puck sent down in for Griffin. He leaves it for Ben Scory. Ben sends it across for Beck. This one's stolen away by Jackson. Armstrong brings it into the zone. Wrestled away by Beck. Now Colin with it. Jackson's going to send this one out and down. This one goes out and all the way down where Tyson will come back and retrieve it. Will Marsh over to Otto. Now Otto maneuvers in, tries to get a shot, but that's poked off of his stick. Will Marsh wrestles this away, sends it back out to the point. Here's James Meyer. James fires one. James sends it back in. Kept in the zone nicely by James. Wrestled away by George Lego. George tries to send it over to Will Marsh. Goes into the corner. Wrestled away by... Okay. This one's poked away briefly by Jackson, but eventually controlled by Armstrong. They keep it in the zone. Beck has to go back and pick it up. He's going to send it around for Colin Moose. Colin outlets, but right to Armstrong. Now here's Beck. It's poked away. Armstrong comes back now. It's stolen away by Otto. Otto now skates it ahead. He looks to get a shot. Who sends it across, but Colin Moose was not able to catch up to that one. Now this one comes to James Meyer. James fires one. That's right on net. Bounces out. Here's Colin Moose. He leaves it for James. James fires another one from the point, and that is knocked down and covered by the Armstrong goalie from Hopkins. Colin Moose tries to get it over to Colin O'Day, but that's chipped away. And almost kept in, but that skips out, and that'll be an offsides on the Storm. O'Day on the face-off. He wins it back to James. James sends it into the corner where Colin chases. Now Jackson sends one toward the net. That is covered by Armstrong. O'Day on the face-off. He wins it back to Beck. Beck shovels it forward to Ben Score, but Ben couldn't get a shot away. Back comes Armstrong. Intercepted by Jackson. Now here comes Ben Score. He skates it up. He's got Griffin O'Melia. Oh, and he sends it through the crease, but a little behind Griffin. Will Marsh shoulders his man down, but he's going to get called for the penalty on that one. As I thought that was a clean hit, but it may have been just a little bit late, I think, is the call. And so they're going to call Will Marsh on the elbowing call, looks like. May have got a little bit too much elbow in that one. So Storm will go down a man. There's a power play opportunity for Armstrong Cooper. This one's outlets to Tyson. Tyson now skates it up and chips it in. Tyson with it again. He's going to send it up to Otto. Otto is now going to skate it out. He's going to throw one on net. This one's kept in by Colin Moose. Shot that rolls to George, but he's able to swat that one away. Back comes Armstrong on the power play, but not able to get much going. The Storm has been able to control the puck. Now here comes James Meyer, and James maneuvers around. Ooh, and good job by James to keep control of that puck and get it in deep, but he couldn't get a shot away. Now here's Armstrong with an opportunity. Oh, nice defense there by Griffin as he pokes that one away. And this one is stopped and covered by George T1 Ortiz. 28 seconds left on the penalty to Will Marsh. Storm have done a good job killing this penalty so far, as I believe Armstrong's only got one shot on goal. There's another shot, but that's off the mark and goes into the corner. Chipped out of there by Jackson. Collin throws the loose puck down in. He's going to chase it. Now this is kept in by Jackson. Stolen away by Collin. Comes to Jackson. Oh, and Jackson fires one. That's off the pad of the goalie. And this is going to be an icing call on Armstrong Cooper. So we'll stay right here and face off in the offensive zone for the Storm with 5:32 left here in this opening period. 3-0 lead for the Storm. Collin wins the faceoff, comes back to Griffin. Griffin fires one that's off a skate, goes into the corner. Jackson picks it up. This is going to be another icing, I think, on Armstrong. Yes, it is. So we'll stay back down here in the Storm offensive zone for another faceoff here with 5:14 left now in the opening period. Here's Will Marsh on the faceoff. This one comes to Armstrong. Sent around by Tyson. Chipped out of there by George. Comes to Will Marsh. Will's going to now skate it up through the zone. Sends it across to Colin Moose. There, loose puck picked up by Will Marsh, and Will fires it in. And that will now make it 4-0 as Will Marsh picks up his second goal of the game. Collin wins the faceoff back to Griffin. To Beck. Beck sends it in. That one comes out of the zone. Beck fires it back in, but the Storm is offside. Well, this will be a Neutral zone face-off here. Colin wins this ahead, but comes to Armstrong. There's a shot off the pad of George as he makes a nice save. Now Colin gets the outlet. Colin skates it ahead. Colin fires one on net, and that is stopped and covered by Armstrong. That's going to be an icing unless that's on net. It is. Tyson tries to outlet. That one squirts away, but it comes to Will Marsh. Now Will Marsh skates it around. Comes to Otto, kept in by James. James fires one. Tyson lifts it down in. There's Will Marsh with it again, trying to center it to Otto, but can't quite control it. Bounces off the back of the net. Kept in by Tyson, but it squirts away. And that'll be an icing on Armstrong Cooper again. 2:33 left here in this opening period. Here is O'Day on the face-off. Storm going with two centers today with a number of folks out. So Colin and Will Marsh are the centers today. This one lifted out of there for Armstrong. They bring it into the zone. Nice job by George to swat that one away. Now here's Jackson with it. He overskates it and has to regroup. Outlet to Griffin. Griffin sends it in. Wrestled away by Griffin. Griffin through the zone. Tries to leave it for George. And George still has it. Ships it up in the air. It's kept in by James. This one in, fires a shot, and glove save by the Armstrong goalie. And there's a shot fired by Tyson and redirected nicely by Will Marsh, but glove save by the Armstrong goalie. As I mentioned, you'll see the Armstrong goalie in blue here. It's actually from the Hopkins team. This Armstrong team has been without a goalie the whole year, so they've had to borrow. In fact, they use Theo Tyson from the Minneapolis Gray team occasionally as their goalie. And today it is the Hopkins goalie that gets the honors here. James pokes this one out of there. Comes to Will Marsh. Will sends it across to Ben Scorey. Ben to Colin Moose. Collin circles the net. Tries to leave it for Will Marsh, but that was behind him. And that will be the end of the first period with the score 4-0 in favor of the Minneapolis squad here, as they came out a little fired up and able to get some very early goals here. Here we go with the start of the second period here. Teams have switched sides. Storm's now going left to right here as O'Day takes the face off. He's got Jackson, Gaston, and George Lego with him up front. Backhand, Griffin O'Melia anchoring the D. There we've got an offsides on Armstrong Cooper. This one's chipped ahead by Will Marsh, but comes right back into the Armstrong zone. They got a shot, but George is right there to knock that down. Colin moves. He's going to skate it ahead. He's got an opportunity. Oh, he sends it right. It's up front for Will Marsh, but Will couldn't get a shot away. That's kept in by James. Now it's thrown out by Armstrong. That'll be an icing on Armstrong Cooper. Offensive zone face-off here for the Storm as Colin O'Day comes in to take the face-off. Sent around the boards. Now it's still in. George chases it down as now Ben Scory comes over. Kept in the zone by George. Oh, and that one comes out of the zone. That'll be an offside, so we'll face off just outside the Storm offensive zone here, just underway in the second period. 4-0 lead here for Minneapolis. Armstrong shot from the point. That is steered away by George. Ben Scory. Nice job to skate that one out of there. And Minneapolis had 3 guys just looking at the puck, and eventually Armstrong just swatted it in, but they were offsides. So. Stoppage of play here as we face off just outside the Armstrong-Cooper offensive zone. Now this is chipped in by Jackson. Comes back out. And another offsides by Armstrong. Here's Will Marsh on the faceoff. He throws it into the zone, but it's controlled by Armstrong. Now they chip it out. Now wrestled away by Will Marsh. Armstrong takes it away, and back they come. And another offsides on Armstrong. So face off just outside the Storm offensive zone. That one comes now to George, now picked up by Colin Moose. Colin's going to try to skate it in, but loses control, pops up in the air where George picks it up. He tries to get it over to Colin, but that was chipped away by Armstrong. It's a shot from the point, steered away by George. Griffin goes into the boards hard as he tries to check his man. Now here's Beck with it. Beck sends it across to George. Another offsides on Armstrong. Armstrong not very disciplined when it comes to offsides, as they're just throwing it into the zone randomly and being called for offsides every time. So now here is George. George gets this up to Ben Scory. Ben maneuvers around, tries to get a shot, but defended nicely by Armstrong. Now here's Will Marsh with it. Comes out to Otto. Now to James. James going to skate it in and fire one that's off the mark. Loose puck that bounces on the side of the net. Now here's Ben Scory with it. Chipped out of there to Armstrong. Armstrong's going to have a breakaway here. And they put it into the net. So Armstrong gets on the board here to make it 4-1 now with 10:22 left in this second period here. Back over to Griffin. Griffin's going to bring it into the zone. sends this around. This one comes all the way out. Jackson's going to now chase it down. There's Colin with a shot close in, but that's blockered away nicely by the Armstrong goalie. Beck now with it along the boards. Comes to Jackson out at the point. Jackson sends it down, and now Colin with it behind the net. He's going to send it back to Jackson. Now Jackson back to Colin. Colin fires it. That's a little high. Now Beck sends it in deep. Now Jackson. Out to James. Or sorry, that was Griffin. Now this one squirts away. Battle along the boards eventually comes to Armstrong in the slot, and shot fired at George, but he knocks that one down. Now this one. Another shot at George. Storm really need a break here. They're getting a little gassed. There's Will with a shot, and Will gets the hat trick, as that's his third goal of the game now. That will make it 5-0. So 5-1 lead now for the Storm as Will Marsh puts another one in the net. And there's a shot right at George, but he was in good position there. Tyson now outlets to Colin Moose. Here's Colin with an opportunity. Ooh, and nice job by the Hopkins goalie there to save another goal. Armstrong knocked off the puck nicely by Tyson. There's George. He's going to outlet. That's a little behind Colin Moose, but comes to Will Marsh. Will sends it across, but no one there. And wrestled away by Ben Scory, and Ben gets a shot away. Nice job by Ben to wrestle that away and get in deep for a shot. So the Storm are without Archie Reardon, Cam and Cam Adair today. Cam, I believe, is ill today, and Archie had a little mishap recently that's keeping him out today. But so short a couple players, but still obviously holding their own against this Armstrong team. And that's going to be an offsides again on Armstrong. There's the face-off. This one comes into the zone. Colin's going to chase this one down into the corner. Sends this one back in. Colin comes over to the corner to retrieve it, sends it over to Otto. Otto gets knocked into the boards. This one's kept in by James again. Still in the zone now. James maneuvers around. He's trying to get a shot away. It's eventually chipped out of there by Armstrong. Here comes Jackson. Now George throws it across the crease. It's a shot from Tyson that is high and wide. Jackson sends it around. Will Marsh comes over to try to control it, but Armstrong is able to chip it out of there. Will Marsh sends this around. Picked up by Jackson. Jackson back to George. George behind the net. He's looking to center it out to Will, but can't get it there. Kept in nicely by Griffin. This one comes out of, oh, come on. That was, looked like the Storm was on sides on that one, but they called it offsides, and I have a stoppage of play here as we have 4:15 left here in the second period. Here's Beck with it. Beck fires one. That was loose in the slot. Gloves go flying, and I end up with an Armstrong player in the net, and a loose stick, and eventually covered by Hopkins. Colin on the faceoff comes to Armstrong. That's wrestled away by Colin Moose. He sends it out to James. James fires one. That's off of Colin, I think, but picks it up, sends it back to James. Going to be a icing on the Storm, so we will head back down to the Armstrong Cooper zone for a face-off with 3:13 left here. 5-1 lead in favor of Minneapolis. Storm have been in control throughout. There's a shot off the mark. Will Marsh sends it across to George. George tries to send it back to Ben Scory, but it's off of Armstrong. That one sent across George's face, but wide. There's a wraparound attempt. George covers that one, and we'll have a stoppage of play here with 2:37 left. So it looks like Griffin O'Melia called for the a penalty on that one. I did not see the call, but the Storm will be on the penalty kill here as they are down a man. Now back comes Armstrong. Now they get it in right into the slot. Here's a shot, and oh, that was deflected high by George. And this one squirts up and into the Armstrong bench. So we'll have a stoppage of play here. With 2:08 left, 1:32 left on the penalty to Griffin. As O'Day comes back in on the faceoff. This one's sent to the other side. Colin Moose loses a skate and comes to Armstrong. Yeah, Colin Moose wrestles that one away. He chips it over to Colin. Now here's Colin. Oh, and he gets it back to Griffin, or to Colin Moose, but Colin couldn't quite direct it toward the net. This one's kept in by Armstrong, and now it squirts out of there. 50 seconds left on the penalty to Griffin as Beck tries to tie it up. And now we're going to have another penalty on the Storm as that one's going to go on. Who is that on? I believe that's on James Meyer now. As James is going to get called for. Looks like they're just going to call roughing on that one. I was afraid that may have been a check from behind, which would have been a 10-minute major, but he just gets called on the 2-minute penalty, so be 5-on-3 here for another 32 seconds. Now Otto wrestles this away. He chips it into the zone. Armstrong trying to make something happen here with a 5-on-3. They don't seem particularly organized on their power play, though. That one's chipped away knocked away by Otto for a second. Now this one comes out of the zone. Oh, looked like that was offsides on. Now Storm are back to 5-on-4 as Griffin is now out of the box. Now back with it. Storm doing a good job of keeping control here. Still down a man. Oh, and that one skips out of there. But kills off some time as we have only 5 seconds left here in this period. Will Marsh fires one right at the buzzer, but pad saved by Armstrong to keep it 5-1 here. So the Storm will be still down a man for the next 56 seconds of this third period here, but still in command with a 5-1 lead. The Storm will have another game tomorrow afternoon or early evening down in Mankato. They'll be taking on the Mankato Purple B1 team. that will be a non-district game. Mankato played in the tournament that the Storm just played in right before Christmas down in Northfield, but Storm did not face Mankato. They were in the other bracket, and so did not happen to face them, but they'll be seeing Mankato for the first time at 5:45 tomorrow evening. And then they have another district game against the Minneapolis B1 Gray team on Monday. Here's Armstrong Cooper looking to make something happen, but that's chipped away. Comes to to Otto. Otto's going to fire that down, but that's going to be an icing call. 25 seconds left now on the power play for Armstrong Cooper, as James Meyer is still in the box for the Storm. There's Jackson on the faceoff. That one deflected up into the air and goes to the back wall. Comes to Otto. Otto now chips it out of there nicely. That one played by the Armstrong goalie, intercepted by Jackson, and Storm are offsides on that one, so we'll have a stoppage of play and a face-off right down front here. Just underway here in the third period, a 5-1 lead for the Storm. Oh, Colin wrestles this one away, and he tries to fire one, but that's blocked. Kept in by Griffin, still kept in. Oh, and now eventually squirts out of there. There's Colin moves it, and it comes to James Meyer. James is going to skate it ahead. Colin's going to just chip it down. Griffin sends it across to Colin, that was who was that? That was James Meyer that took a swat at that one, covered by Armstrong. Now here's Will Marsh on the faceoff. Will wins it. Here's Beck with it. Now Van Scory. Oh, nice feed into Jackson, and Jackson with a nice little backhand, but that was just deflected away by the goalie. Here's one that's deflected up into the netting, so stoppage of play and face off for the Storm in their offensive zone with 12:58 left in this game. A loose puck comes to Armstrong. Centering attempt is swatted away. Now here's Will Marsh going to skate it behind the net, try to get it out of there. He does wrestle it away. Loose in the neutral zone and sent back in by Armstrong. Outlet to Otto. Otto now brings it across, chips it in. Colin reverses it around. Otto behind the net, pins his man to the board. Puck squirts into the neutral zone, but picked back up by George. Now George has got Colin over there if he could get it to him, but he goes off of a skate. Colin moves with a shot. And covered by Armstrong. Will Marsh on the faceoff, back to Griffin. Oh, and deflected in. And another goal for Will Marsh. Will is on fire today as he gets his 4th goal of the game. That was a nasty deflection right into the upper right-hand corner and off the post. And that will now make it 6-1 in favor of the Storm. Shot blocked. Picked up by George. George up to Will Marsh. Will sends it across to Colin, but Colin couldn't get a stick on it. He picks up the loose puck, though. Leaves it for Griffin. Griffin now off to James. James backhands it in. Will's going to send that one around. Griffin picks it off the boards. Kept in by Griffin. Now out to George, and George takes a swing at it, but it pops into the air and is covered by Armstrong. Off, he wins it back to Jackson. Now Colin out to Tyson. Tyson fires a shot that is knocked down and covered. So we'll face off on the other side here with O'Day doing the honors. Knocks this away, sends it over to the other side, but comes to Armstrong. Out they come with it. They got a 2-on-1 here. And that one is fired high and deflected up into the netting. So stoppage of play with 9:46 left in this game. 6-1 lead for the Storm. Will gets goal number 5. As he now makes it 7-1. This one's thrown all the way down. That's going to be an ice on the Storm. Back. Off the boards to Jackson. Now this comes to George. George trying to get the breakaway. Now Jackson with it. Nice job of Jackson to keep control of that one as he was getting knocked against the boards. Down to Jackson. Jackson tries to take a swat at it. Comes to George. George backhands one toward the net, and that's scooped up by Armstrong. So we have running time now with a 6-goal differential here. 7:40 and running in this third period. Marsh tries to dig it out of the corner. Now Ben Scory comes over. James to Colin Moose. Colin across the line. Armstrong throws one wide of the net. And now we're going to have a flash on Colin Moose. I did not see that penalty, but he got called for the flash. So Storm will be down a man again, as that's their third penalty now. I don't believe Armstrong has been flagged for a penalty yet. Nice job by, and Colin with a nice feed by George out to Colin in the slot. Colin got a good shot away, but and there's a loose puck covered by Armstrong. 5:30 left in this one. 1:02 left in the penalty to Colin Moose. There's Jackson with a shot knocked away by Armstrong. Shot steered away by George. Loose puck picked up by Griffin. Now Griffin's going to skate it all the way down in. Griffin stops, reverses. The loose puck comes around, picked up by Armstrong. Chipped in and scooped up by the Armstrong goalie. So both teams back at full strength now as Colin Moose is out of the box. Just a little over 4 minutes with a running clock here. Tyson with it. Chipped away. There comes the back. Now Armstrong brings it into the zone. They're trying to make something happen, but Storm is there to Will Marsh eventually chips it out of there. Now Otto's trying to get there first too. Nice defense there by Armstrong as they kept Otto from getting to the puck. Now James skates this one in. He loses control, comes to Griffin. The Griffins now is going to skate this in. Now he gets around his man, fires one in as Griffin does a nice job going far side on that one. He got the goalie leaning and was able to put it in the far side corner for a goal. So that will now make it 8-0, or sorry, 8-1. Offsides on Armstrong. Here's a face-off won by Collin. He's going to skate it ahead. He leaves it for Jackson. Gets sent in deep. Collin picks up the loose puck. Circles. Now he's going to fire one from outside. Oh, and this one's loose and knocked in by James Meyer. So that will now make it 9-1. As we have just over a minute left in this one, and this one is knocked in by Tyson. Ben Scory knocks this one in deep. Comes to Will Marsh. 45 seconds left in this one. Center pass that goes through, and a loose puck picked up by Tyson. Tries to send it out, but it's sent back in by Armstrong. 21 seconds left now. Will Marsh is going to just backhand this one into the zone. Kill some time here. 5 seconds left in this one. And that will do it. As the Storm win easily, controlling this game throughout. They come away with a 9-1 victory here to pick up the district win. As I mentioned, Storm will be back in action tomorrow down in Mankato, Minnesota, as they will take on the Mankato Bantam B1 team. We will be on the air just a little before 5:45 tomorrow evening. Thanks for tuning in, and until then, good night.